Hi, this is John Fricke, and welcome back to the video blogs. You guys have been really gracious about responding to these last couple of months, so we're going to follow through for the month of June as well. We're also going to follow through with the topic we have been discussing so far in this spring, in that we're looking back exactly 80 years at what was happening at MGM in the spring of 1939. And any Oz fan can tell you that 1939 is the year that the Wizard of Oz movie was finished and ultimately premiered. Now, by June, they had finished all the post-production work, the editing, the underscoring, all of that, and it was time for MGM to take the film out and sneak preview it. They had invested $2.7 million in The Wizard of Oz, which was an enormous amount of money for that time. And it was also kind of risky because it was a Technicolor fantasy musical. They weren't really sure what they had. They believed in it, but they needed to test it in front of real audiences. And in those days, they had a thing called sneak previews. And this was a system by which a theater owner would agree to let a major studio bring in one of their big new movies, and the audience at the theater would have come in to see whatever film was being advertised. But after they'd seen that, the manager of the theater would take the stage and say, "We have an extra picture tonight, a sneak preview. We hope you will stay and enjoy it, and we hope you will fill out our comment cards for the studio afterwards." And these comment cards were very important because they could emphasize what needed to be slowed up or paced up or quickened or taken out completely, parts that needed to be refined or enlarged. Studios paid a lot of attention to the comment cards. So Wizard of Oz had 3 such sneak previews in the month of June 1939. At the first one in San Bernardino, California, the film ran over 2 hours. Now that was just too long for a movie in 1939, and even going in, MGM knew that something had to be trimmed. Well, they saw the movie with an audience, they got the comment cards, which were extraordinarily favorable, even for an overlong movie. And then a few days later, they took the film to the Fox Theater in Pomona, where it ran 10 minutes shorter. Now, when you're editing a film, especially a musical, the easiest way to get it shorter is to take out whole musical numbers, because that's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and it's gone. So that was what they did for Pomona. They took out the Jitterbug Song and Dance in the Haunted Forest with the waving trees. They took out Ray Bolger's special effects, If I Only Had a Brain dance. They took out some other little stuff, and they took out one more musical number. So when the audience at the Fox in Pomona saw The Wizard of Oz that night, there's one thing you would recognize as being different if you were there that night and saw it again later. We all know, as Oz fans, the scene in Kansas right at the beginning where Aunt Em is kind of chiding Dorothy and saying, "You just help us out today and find yourself a place where you won't get into any trouble." And then Judy Garland, eating her cruller as Dorothy, says to Toto, "Someplace where there isn't any trouble. Do you suppose there is such a place?" Well, the scene went on from there, but not in Pomona. In Pomona, Aunt Em said, "You just help us out today and find yourself a place where you won't get into any trouble." And then there was a swift cut, and the next thing the audience heard and saw was da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and in came Miss Gulch on the bicycle. There was no Over the Rainbow. In fact, there was no Over the Rainbow anywhere in the film except as background music. Well, Harold Arlen, the composer, Yip Harburg, the lyricist, were in the Pomona audience, and they were appalled. And Arthur Freed, the associate producer of Oz, who oversaw a lot of the music, was appalled. And for the next few days, those 3 gentlemen argued with all the hierarchy at MGM about the reasons that song had to go back in the picture. We all understand why it's there. Evidently, studio executives think on a different plane completely. But Arthur Freed was starting to have a lot of clout at MGM. He'd been a lyricist there for 10 years, had written the words to Singing in the Rain, You Are My Lucky Star, Broadway Rhythm, and he was becoming a film producer of musicals. And MGM knew he was going to be important. And Arthur laid down the law. He said, either Over the Rainbow stays in The Wizard of Oz, or I leave MGM. And we all know how that turned out, and it's a lucky thing. There are some other wonderful little things that were taken out of the sneak preview to make it tighter still, because ultimately 20 minutes of that 120 minutes went. And we're going to talk about some of those next month. Meanwhile, as ever, I thank you for watching and listening.